Welcome to Live at Lunch here on KRFC, which is supported by Canvas Credit Union. We are in the Ginger and Baker studio in the heart of the Music District in Old Town Fort Collins, Colorado. And we got a band with some deep history on Live at Lunch here. We'll go into that later, but let's have them kick it off with a couple songs. We got Head for the Hills. Take it away, guys.
He's been shut in and cast out, with no light to cast a shadow of a last doubt. He feels inadequate, mad at being the class clown, looking at her thinking she's too good for a bad spouse. When they first met, he was on the fast route, sitting high atop the saddle of a cash cow. That's how they watched everything crash down, throwing boulders through the windows of his glass house. He follows instincts he still has yet to trust. He thinks we shouldn't let emotions get the best of us. Every second spent forgetting who he ever was. You think it make him feel better? It never does. She's been thrown away and left at home. She sets the table, her melancholy sets the tone. With buckled shoulders, she's been carrying a heavy load, so he won't greet her with the temperamental episode. She starts to wonder why they headed down this endless road. Employment hours may have lessened, the stress has grown. I'm trying to save her from a hell that only heaven knows, as she turns into a withered pile of flesh and bones. She follows instincts she still has yet to trust. She scribbles frantically, forgetting what the lesson was. She could catch a better buzz if it ever comes, waiting on a lost letter that never does. Better way to get around. For worse or better, every king wears a heavy crown. So every hour I spend wishing I hadn't left is just another destiny I couldn't manifest. A frantic mess, wishing that it mattered less, always knowing there's no cure for a man obsessed. I followed instincts I still have yet to trust. I should have known that we were more in lust and less in love. Nightly I increased the pressure till the stress is numb. I wish it helped me to forget her, it never does.
Head for the hills here on KRFC's Live at Lunch. Bending genres, for sure. Loving it. Let's introduce the band. We got Joe Lessard on violin.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And
Matt, yeah, absolutely. I'm Matt. I play bass and sing.
My name's Riley Williams. I play the drums.
Adam Kinghorn. I play guitar and write and sing as well.
well, thanks for coming in, guys. Y'all sound great. So I hear some of your first recordings were on a Live at Lunch last week, right?
Yeah, just last week. No. We're trying to track down how long ago the release was that we released some Live at Lunch recordings.
It had to have been between 19 and 20 years.
Wow.
18, yeah. We'd have to go look, but yeah, we put out a little CD back in the days of CDs. Yes, we're that
We had
old.
those. We had those.
We did, and it was called Look Alive. And Joe drew the cover, and we photocopied them, and then he spray paint stenciled the top of the CDs for the.
We duplicated ourselves.
Yeah, we all duplicated them ourselves. Yes, that was our 19-year-old attempt at something to sell at a concert, basically. So yeah, but thanks to Live at Lunch, they gave us the recording, and we were like, "Dang, this sounds good." So
Well, awesome. Yeah. We'll do that again. You'll get another recording. Hopefully it sounds better.
Yeah.
From our side. I'm sure y'all sounded great 20 years ago, too.
Yeah. We'll leave that up.
Those things were going for $5 back then. Yeah.
that's true.
With inflation, that's at least $10 now.
They have to be extremely valuable by now.
So, with a 20-year history, how has the band changed from that first Live at Lunch to this one?
Well, good question. We have a drummer now. We did not have a drum player then. We had mandolin in this band for a long time. Kind of founding member Mike was a mandolin player, and he was playing electric mandolin and stuff too. So that was kind of our early years of Head for the Hills was all that, and so it's morphed quite a bit with the adding of drums in a very cool way as far as we're concerned. But I don't know, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I remember moving up to college from Golden and having a mission to like start a bluegrass band. You know what I mean? And Head for the Hills is actually on a Looney Tunes. It's like a Bugs Bunny, Marvin the Martian episode. And I remember thinking that's the best name I've ever heard for a bluegrass band. Awesome. And I don't know. There was one other band called Head for the Hills out in Oregon, and I think we had some disputes early on about like how this is going to go, but I think in the end we just sort of like outlasted them, if that makes sense. But yeah, in the early days, I think we were just trying to like have fun playing, and I think we were all kind of learning the genre, if I'm recalling correctly, because I know Joe was classically trained and Matt had a different musical background as well, and so this was like a vehicle for us to come together, and it was time and place, and people were really enjoying it. I remember playing a lot of backyard parties and different things in Fort Collins. It was a great time to be learning that music and like writing and things like that. But as far as how has it changed, I think some of that just like, wow, we can do this kind of wore off. And I would say in general it got a little bit more serious, and I think some of the subject matter was just a little bit different than like nature and trees. And I would say musically it developed in a jazzier influence in a lot of ways, sure. In certain aspects, but also just branching out.
Open-minded musical.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can speak to that.
Yeah, we kind of like, we're all big-eared listeners in terms of like, listening to lots of different music. And pretty much has always been the case, I think, for all of us. And like Adam said, the beginning of the band was maybe more than some other kind of younger bluegrass bands. Like we didn't come from like picking, like there's the whole, if you have any context of the bluegrass thing, like if you're around for long enough, you will see a 9-year-old mandolin player that is the best musician you've ever come in contact with, and it just blows your mind, and you're like, sure. God, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, this kid is so good. And that's not the context that we came from at all. Like, we came from, Adam was in punk bands, and Joe hip-hop, and I was, doing whatever, like, kind of rock band kind of stuff. And so we came together on the bluegrass tip, and then it just started exploring more after that, I guess, and kind of left the door open for whatever else that we wanted to bring in. And that's always been the thing with this band, is like we're down to really have any kind of musical idea be presented in the context of the band, whether it's a rock and roll thing or a hip hop thing or a jazz thing or a like a Latin music thing or synthesizer weirdness, like kind of all of the above. And you come see us, like that's kind of what we're trying to give, little sprinklings of all that stuff. So I feel like the whole arc of the band has landed us here now, where we're kind of doing all the things that we want to do. So
that's awesome. Yeah, picking up the drum and bass break beats with some jazz chords, and there's some classical motifs going on in the fiddle. I hear all of that. That's awesome.
Greg gets it.
I try. Y'all have y'all been in Fort Collins the whole time of the band's existence?
I'm the only one that has been.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Nice. But you've been doing a thing up at the Mishawaka for probably as long as you've been on Live at Lunch now, right?
Yeah, just about. yeah, for real. Obviously, this is filmed and then it's released later, but tomorrow, for us, we will be doing our 19th annual Pickin' on the Pooter up there at the Mishawaka. So it's the 19th one, but really we've been doing it for 20 years. So, kind of crazy. Makes you feel old, but it's cool.
We were playing inside there years
we
prior
were.
to that. So.
Yeah.
It's cool to have a thing that's running that long, I think.
Yeah, it's great. And like that, there's a bunch of people, even through the transition, like of ownership of that place. There's a bunch of people that they're still there, and they were there when we started coming there, and that is special. And like we have a lot of love for those people, for sure. So yeah.
So coming from a bunch of broad backgrounds that weren't necessarily bluegrass, that's a theme we get with a lot of bluegrass bands on Live at Lunch. But did anybody have any like ideological gear shifts they had to make to be like, I'm in a bluegrass band now? I was coming from punk rock. I used to be a punk rocker. I was like, yeah, no, none of that bluegrass. But I feel like aging, you kind of adjust to it. But what were people's adjustments to being in a bluegrass band?
Yeah, I think in the early days, I wanted to be cookie cutter traditional. Like, I want to adhere to the rules. Like, it was almost like a religious thing for me. Like, this is neat. There's a framework here, and I don't want to like step out of it. That was wrong. Like, my roommate, Mike, In Rainbows came out by Radiohead, and he just said, they just made this new record, and like, you don't even have to pay for it if you don't want to. It's like, it's a donation thing. It's amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really bluegrass though. So I don't really care. You know what I mean? And like 20 years later, I'm like, bro, like I just get out of your own head with that stuff. Yeah. So like, I had to kind of learn to incorporate like, be more open once I realized that bluegrass wasn't actually like the superior form of music, basically.
I do think there's a connection between there's like other people I've heard say it was like, oh, I was like in a speed metal band or something. Yep. And that, like, there's something about the fast, riffy, unison riffs and all that kind of stuff that connects.
Definitely.
I think with that, like, connected to our like more adolescent brains in a cool way. And it's like, oh, but these are through an acoustic instrument kind of lens. What can we do? And yeah, I was maybe less thinking of it as traditionally as Adam. So it's interesting seeing how the band formed initially with kind of some different approaches, maybe even then.
Sure. Cool. Well, let's keep the music rolling. What do you want to play next for us?
Sweet.
Yeah, I think we'll do sort of like an old fiddle tune and our take on that, and that's going to launch right into like an original tune we wrote a couple years ago. So
great. Take it away.
This. All right.
Tell me true now, would you leave the light on for me, darling? In the dark of night, tell me why you never waited for me like I thought you might. We were young and you were daring yourself to fly. Tell me why you never made it very high. I'll wait for you, my darling, if you might do the same. Turn the time back, honey, all the way around. It's a hard road we've been rolling down. Turn the time back for me, darling, till you get home again. Tell me true now, when you left me standing at the station in the morning line, did you find I'd ever made it cross your mind like a heart attack? We were young, but you were wasting my time, my time. Tell me why you didn't make it home tonight. I'll wait for you forever, if you might do the same. I'll hold it all together each and every day. Turn the time back, honey, all the way around. It's a hard road we've been rolling down. Turn the time back for me, darling, till you get home again. Tell me true now, should I leave the light on for you, darling, in the dark of night? Tell me why you never made it off my mind like a heart attack. I don't hear no explanation. Surprise, surprise, tell me why we never made it through the night to be with you tomorrow. I'll wait for you today. Turn the time back, honey, all the way around. It's a hard road and we're slowing down. Turn the time back for me, darling, till you get home again. Turn the time back, baby, to yesterday. Such a far cry from our glory days. Turn the time back for me, darling. Turn the time back for me, babe. Turn the time back for me, darling, till you get home again.
Head for the hills here on KRFC's Live at Lunch. What were the name of those two songs again?
First one was called Cattle in the Cane, and that's Adam's original called Turn the Time.
Nice. Sounds great, guys. So, speaking of original tunes, how does the band do their songwriting now? Is it a collaborative process? Does someone bring a tune to the band and y'all just learn it? How's that work?
Kind of all of the above. A little bit of, it can be everything from a fully formed idea to like a fragment of an idea.
Sure.
Sometimes we're pretty good at, it's one of our favorite things to do, to kind of arrange and build the song once somebody brings a little idea.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it ranges. Last few, if we've done on the I will say on the last little EP, we've done a little bit more stuff where it was like, oh, I had this idea of lyrics over your chord progression or
cool
stuff like that. So we've gotten a little more kind of collaboration in that way, even if it's like long, just us sending voice memos to each other or whatever to kind of develop those ideas. But it's morphed.
There's also this thing that's happened where, like, speaking to the arrangement thing, we've been a band for long enough and like kind of been in that process that I think we've kind of developed I don't know if anybody else would recognize it as a voice, quote unquote, but like kind of a voice as a band in terms of the way that we arrange things. Like that last song, if you were to go back through and try to like chart it out, there's just like these slight tweaks to every part. Like the lyrics are different. The accompaniment kind of like switches in between the feel in terms of if it's like a 2-beat bluegrass thing or if it's the other thing. And we're, that's like one of the things that I don't know if we could, I suppose we could intentionally avoid that, but like basically that's what happens to anything, all of our songs. They kind of go through this process that ends up kind of putting our arrangement stamp on it.
Cool.
So that's part of that, which is fun and rewarding and cool.
Sure. Has that changed over the years of the band, or has that always kind of been your process?
I think the process has always been, if you want someone to play your song, you have to kind of chart it out and bring it to them and have it like put the wrapper on it and be like, this is basically done. And then the band, what ends up happening is like, no, it isn't. We're going to make it our own thing. And so that's like a really neat aspect of what's going on. But during the pandemic, I think we all got a little bit better at needing, out of necessity, having to do demos and different things in our home spaces and whatnot. And so that led to more sort of collaboration as far as like, here's a demo, what do you want to add to it, and cool. Layering and things like that as part of the process.
Yeah.
But, we also try to get together with these retreats and just have, retreats or whatever you want to call it, where you don't have anything in mind, because that is another way of going about things, where you're really spontaneously, organically just coming up with themes and stuff. And these guys don't even know it, but I have the song that I wrote based on something we came up with in a cabin. And,
nice.
So I can't wait to show it to you.
Now,
Neato.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Elliott Smith, though, which is not what we were going for, or like Andrew Bird kind of thing.
Cool.
That's cool, though.
Seep in, man.
Okay, because I know that's Okay, we'll talk later.
So are writing retreats a thing that you try and do regularly now, or is it just sort of as you're on the road or whatever
when
you
we
sit
can?
down?
We're definitely trying to schedule them into life. Yeah. As we go, so because it is kind of we can, as we're adults who have things going on, the getting together has to be more planned out. So, but it's something that's real valuable when we can make it happen. It's
cool.
Awesome and rewarding and fulfilling.
Cool. So, go ahead.
I was just going to mention that we have this dude on the drums here, and I just want to ask how old he was when our band started.
2003.
Yeah. 3 years old.
3 years old.
3 years, yeah. Apparently my dad, I don't know if this is a myth or not, but I was on my dad's shoulder walking, I don't know, downtown while Head for the Hills was playing when I was like 4 or 5 or something.
I'm just going to say that. It absolutely happened. Definitely happened.
So this has been the only band you've been in, Riley, since you were 3?
Since he was 3, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he actually. What was the name of your Fort Collins? Astute Fort Collins music people will know.
Oh yeah. I had a band growing up called the Gremlins.
Nice.
Definitely spent a good amount of time here at KRFC back in the day, and that's probably what I was up to. But that would have been more like 2007.
Okay, that's in the zone.
100%. So we had talked a little bit about your songwriting process and how you like to pull in experimentation. How have you approached experimentation beyond just pulling in your various backgrounds in punk and classical and rock? And
Sure. On this latest EP, I think there's a really good example where, like, Joe comes from a hip-hop background. Riley is kind of the same and does even kind of more, like, production and stuff. He's, like, an MPC guy. Cool. So we'd always like kind of floated, talked about like the idea of when you sample something versus like just playing the part, and how that kind of like changes how you construct things and how things sound. Mm-hmm. So we went in and recorded like full parts, and then essentially kind of went back and did that, where we then kind of like sampled ourselves and like looped parts of it, and like we had Adam come in and play guitar, and then we just like picked little pieces that he played, looped them, kind of created this whole arrangement. Not with an MPC, not quite exactly the same way, but because we were working in Pro Tools and whatever, it was like a different kind of workflow. But kind of that was the idea, was like how can we get to some of that sound, but through our own process. So that's like a very literal, concrete example of like, let's be experimental in the studio in a way that's beyond just like putting a keyboard on something or an arpeggiated synthesizer line or, so.
Yeah. That's a thing I've heard Michael Menert talking about, like putting together a 6-piece band just to sample it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know Joe went and did some Pretty Lights sampling in that exact context.
Cool. I recorded some stuff for Derek, years ago that was just kind of that same thing. Like, I just play it.
Did
just
it get
noodles
used?
for a while, and then I'm going to sample it. I don't know. I think some of it did. But yeah, it's been fun doing that with our own, and I think we learned from that EP about how to structure that process a little too. We were like, okay, we maybe could have streamlined this a little more in spots, but the idea of cherry picking some little like ear candy moments and placing them on a song that's not traditionally kind of created that way is a cool thing we're attracted to, for sure. Definitely.
So as you do that process, is that affecting how you record? Do you record mostly on your own, or do you book studio time to do that? How's the process?
Yeah, that's kind of evolved a little bit. Like we typically were definitely the band who's like, okay, we got to go come up with the money to get into the studio, and then go in the studio and exclusively record at a commercial studio, and and kind of like Adam said, around COVID, like basically if you're trying to make music at that point, you had to figure out how to do it by yourself in your bedroom. Sure. So I'm sure like, the music gear industry, obviously they're experiencing a whole catastrophe now because everybody bought a bunch of stuff and now nobody's buying as much stuff anymore. But anyway, so we kind of got into a place where we're able to use the commercial recording studio, to like do big stuff, to mostly record the drums. Like we've recorded a little bit of drums ourselves. Sure. But, the things that you really benefit from having that full capacity of the facility, but then doing things like maybe backup vocals by ourselves or even at the Music District.
Absolutely.
Or, like I've got a little home studio that we've done some stuff in. And we bought some gear to kind of assist with that, invest in ourselves a little bit. So now the process is like getting a lot of it done at the studio, but then also being okay with like, we're going to do the backup vocals ourselves, and Joe maybe is going to record an overdub violin thing by himself, and we're going to, send it all to our wonderful engineer, Aaron Youngberg, which, people love Aaron Youngberg here in town, as they should. But
absolutely. That man knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's great. So I don't know if the 6 or the 7 pound Bob Dylan wrote this song, but
it's an approximation, right?
Wallflower, wallflower, won't you dance with me? I'm sad and lonely too. Wallflower, wallflower, won't you dance with me? I'm falling in love with you. And just like you, I'm wondering what I'm doing here. And just like you, I'm wondering what's going on. Wallflower, wallflower, won't you dance with me? The night will soon be gone.
I've seen you standing in a smoky haze, and I know that you're gonna be mine one of these days. Mine alone. Wallflower, wallflower, won't you dance with me? Please let me ride you. Oh, oh. One, two, three. Convinced that I was bound to search in vain. Then you hit me hot and heavy, howling like a hurricane. We took a dying ember for an ever-burning flame. I wonder, was the pleasure worth the pain? While I'm thumbing out on 41st and Main, and I'm pining for the days that you would call and curse my name. I just left Colorado in a haze of purple rain, like a desperado waiting for a train. I get high, I get lonesome every time my heart gets broken. Tears I cry, I could fill the ocean when I'm high and lonesome. Wine. We only grew more bitter as together we spent time. We never let it simmer, we'd bicker and we'd whine. I wonder how I never saw the signs. For all the years I longed to make you mine. Then I promised you forever that I'd always walk the line. I should have loved you better, I didn't mean to be unkind, but now I see it happens every time. I get high, I get lonesome every time my heart gets broken. Tears I cry, I can feel the ocean when I'm high and lonesome. Lonesome, I should fly, but I'm just floating. You got the time, I got the notion to get high and lonesome. To get high and lonesome. Let's get high.
All right, head for the hills here on KRFC's Live at Lunch. That was Wallflower and High and Lonesome.
That's right.
Awesome. I wanted to take a minute to thank our crew here on Live at Lunch. We have Colton Boening running sound today and Eric Delano running the cameras. And I'm usually behind the microphones as well, but I got stuck in front of the camera today, so here we are. And if you are listening to us on the airwaves and you just can't get enough, you can check out our podcasts for Live at Lunch. It is a podcast, so go to your favorite aggregator and download it. You can also see what's going on here. We got Matt playing a bass that looks kind of like a skateboard, and it sounds freaking awesome. You can check us out on YouTube. Coming up towards the end of the show, is there anything that y'all want to talk about that we haven't touched on? Anything burning in your minds that we want to get out?
You know, we got this remix EP project kind of coming out. We dropped the first one, I guess last Friday. Had my good friend and local rock star hero, Jed from Deborah, everybody's favorite Fort Collins synth pop band. I was working with him on something else and over at his place, and he played me a remix that he did for Alicia Craft, and I was like, man, this is really cool. The Killer Bees, I think was the name of it, that they did, and I was like, man, this is interesting, like playing your vibe against her thing, and that that song is pretty rock and roll, you know, the original like cut of it or whatever. So I'm like, man, this is cool. We've always kind of talked about doing remixes, and he was like the first one. We're like, all right, we're actually going to do it. We got this material from this latest EP that's maybe like a little bit easier to kind of push in that direction, cut up or whatever. So we got Jed do it. It's out now. Take Me Home remix. You can find it everywhere, and we'll have 2 more coming out, including one by our boy here,
PBR
on
Dom.
drums.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah. So that's the first one's out, and the rest of them may be kind of coming out later this year. So watch out for that.
Yeah, it's cool, Jed. He really like it. I mean, as the primary songwriter for that one, it was pretty cool to literally he reharmonized the entire, like the chords are different, the structure of the song is different. It's pretty cool to hear that from.
If anyone else out there wants to remix any of our, just really
We
any of the
accept
catalog.
submissions.
Yeah, we got the stems.
So how was the process of picking your remix artists? How did you decide on who to...
Like, how'd you pick your guy?
I'm working with this guy James Collector out in the Bay Area, who's kind of an electronic producer, more on the house and kind of end of things. So cool. Yeah, tapped him. He's also a hip hop dude that raps and stuff that I've known for a long time. So him and I have had kind of a connection, and we were just talking about making other music, and I shot him some of the stems too, and he came up with a really cool kind of remade the whole song himself too. So it's fun to watch him come alive again in a different way and in somebody else's eyes. So yeah,
Gesundheit.
Bitter black coffee at 11 a.m. goes down sweet with that nicotine breakfast. Residual sweat from a bottle of red pouring down like bullet. A daily reminder that I need to forget. Lying by me, then leaving me alone. Just what I get for the nights that I spend sneaking out your back door. Do you really need to keep me hanging on? No crawling back, this time I'm gone. If you think that we can keep this up for long, a little known fact, you got it wrong. Bitter black coffee, hot on your breath, staining your lips, making me reckless, breaking a sweat, though I come to expect it. I should turn and run. Better start walking, my head is a wreck. Read my lips, reel me in slowly. Is this a test or just part of a lesson I will never learn? Do you really need to keep me hanging on? No crawling back, this time I'm gone. If you think that we can keep this up for long, a little known fact, you got it wrong. A little known fact, you got it wrong. Bitter black coffee at 11 a.m. goes down sweet with that nicotine breakfast. Residual sweat from a bottle of red pouring down like butter. Do you really need to keep me hanging on? No crawling back, this time I'm gone. If you think that we can keep this up for long, a little known fact, you got it wrong. A little known fact, you got it wrong. A little known fact, you got it wrong.
We got a music video for that song, just FYI, in case you are scrolling your VH1 Bluegrass channel. That's my VH1 Bluegrass video joke. Okay, anyway. But we do actually have a video for this song. We got our buddy Mr. Dave Bruza from the Green Sky Bluegrass to be in it, as well as some other people. But yeah, you can check that out wherever you enjoy your music video selections. After you peruse the KRFC RadioVision YouTube, you can hop on over to the Head for the Hills YouTube and see that.
It's true.
Yep, these are all things that can happen.
Love it.
You don't have to include any of that in the final broadcast, just FYI.
I think you should.
We'll just remix it. We'll play it backwards.
There you go, perfect.
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of remixes, here's some honky tonk.
1, 2, 3. I got nothing but the blues to my shoulders from my shoes. Darling, I just got the sinking feeling you found someone new. My friends think you must be blue from the way I'm stuck on you. Having no one's nothing new. I got nothing but the blues. I don't have a running car, I don't have a one-room shack. I might sleep beneath the stars anywhere I hang my hat. Once I had an old guitar till she sprung an awful crack, and now I'm stuck in this old bar washing dishes in the back. I got nothing but the blues and a couple cups of booze. All your pictures cut in two and an eye for someone new. My friends think you must be glue from the way I'm stuck on you. Having no one's nothing new. I've got nothing but the blues. My arms, I don't have you in my bed. I don't have the boyish charm of an ego too well fed. I might have to buy the farm just to get you out of my head. Any luck I have is hard out of green and in the red. I've got nothing but the blues to my shoulders from my shoes. Darling, I just got the sinking feeling you found someone new. My friends think you must be glue from the way I'm stuck on you. Having no one's nothing new. I got nothing but the blues. I got nothing but the blues and a couple of cups of booze. All your pictures cut in two and an eye for someone new. My friends think you must be glue from the way I'm stuck on you. I got nothing but the caring what you think about me blues. Having no one's nothing new. I've got nothing but the blues.
All right, let's feature the kid here on the drums. He's going to sing a John Hartford song. Woo!
Well, you can do anything. Oh, view of mind. It's whatever you can find. Just take a little time. Oh, follow the sign. Let things rhyme. It's whatever you get up behind. Now I know girl won't no boy to school. Oh, she wouldn't go to church and she wouldn't go to school. She made it with the preacher and the grandma's attic. Now the poor chick's a religious fanatic on. Well, you can do anything. No view of mind. It's whatever you can find. Just take a little time. Well, follow the signs, let things rhyme. It's whatever you got out behind. Now I sit around banging on the tabletop. I can't sit still, but I'm too stoned to stop. People in the corner gonna stop and stare. Say you can't take a hippie and the way gone. It's so hard to get, but it's so much better than a filthy cigarette. The music in the air and the song in your belly don't taste like the floor of the neighborhood. They're going woo woo, woo woo. That I got it all together. I'm 30 as a mailbox in any kind of weather. Into thinking that the best thing to do is just sit around banging with your wang dang do.